There is a deep need for being authentic, for being our real selves, and I'm sure you feel that pull. Being yourself, but yet you know the image you're projecting to other people that you're showing them, whether it's in public or on your social media posts, is very different and is curated and not real because you're not sharing the struggles that you're experiencing on a daily basis. Well, I'm going to share with you how you can cultivate that authenticity and feel more free inside in being your true self. Hey friend, the daily demands of life leave you exhausted and burnt out with no time for yourself. Are you feeling alone in your relationship and hopeless of life ever changing? Hey, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Christina, married 18 years to my neurodiverse husband and mom of 3 neurodiverse kids. Welcome to the Neurodiverse Family Life Podcast, where we are reclaiming self-care for moms while still being a loving wife and mother. Get ready to begin your self-care journey. Grab your latte planner as you listen in and take small steps towards a healthier you. We're going to talk about Authenticity Day, which is difficult both for you as the mom and the wife and the family, but also for your neurodiverse loved ones, for them to be authentic. First, I want to give a quick shout out to a listener who left a review and said Christina's vulnerability and authentic storytelling in her episodes create a deeply moving and relatable experience for anyone navigating the autism journey. Her willingness to share her personal struggles resonates powerfully, especially for those special education or have autism in families. The most powerful message was Christina's approach to handling uncertainty and isolation was the importance of turning to God through prayer for direction in every aspect of family life. Thank you for leaving the review, and if you have been listening for a while, I would love it if you would leave me a 5-star review and tell me what part of the podcast has been helpful for you. Maybe it's a reframing of ideas, maybe it's a perspective shift, possibly it's the thoughts you've already had, but now someone else is saying it and it gives you that ability to move forward in a new direction. Let me know. I would love to hear that. And actually, this review is great for today's topic. Our focus is on being authentic because I firmly believe that we cannot do self-care for ourselves, or what I oftentimes refer to as our life needs. We're not able to do good, applicable self-care when we are not living authentically. Now, I have little caveats here because if I would have heard someone say this to me many years ago, I would be like, oh, sweetheart, you have no idea what I deal with every day. So when I'm saying authentic, there is a reality that we cannot be 100% honest with what's going on in our marriage and in our children's lives and our family life with everyone that we see. One, not everyone should have the right to all those details. Some people think that's okay, but personally, no, I don't think so. And the reason why is that their perspective oftentimes can be very limited in experiences, and they don't have that right filter or mindset to understand what I would share with them. And so there's naturally going to be people that you cannot share and be 100% authentic. That is a given. I have learned that the hard way, and I'm sure you have as well, where you were honest about a situation and a person applied, possibly it was a church culture concept where how your church operates and sees things, they applied that versus seeing the situation in its full context. Sometimes it's people who they've never dealt with any trials or any mental health hardships and they can't relate. So what I'm being clear here is that it's hard for us to be authentic, 100% authentic with everyone. That's just not reality. And if you're a person of faith and you look at the Bible, Jesus he spoke the truth, but he also was wise in what he shared with different types of people, depending upon where they were at and how much they were able to understand or want to understand. But what happens when we are not authentic is that we begin living this shadow life, this life where we know reality is almost like this mirror, this special mirror where one side of the mirror is what the reality is, But you look in the mirror and that's what you're showing everyone else. And what you show in the mirror, you know that is not reality. It's a Pinterest dressed up, nice looking image of life, but it's not reality. And when you are talking with people, you are aware that you have projected this image, this mirror image that is all nicely spoofed up and dressed up. And you feel the pressure when you're with them in person to live up to that image. That is kills the soul in so many ways because you are living one way and projecting an image in the mirror a completely different way. And the longer this goes on, the more that you do it, you begin feeling this ill ease, this discontent that is happening in your heart and in your mind because you realize that you have this facade going on. Now, that feeling you feel, that also is for our neurodiverse loved ones. They use a term often as masking. They will mask, and it can be one, they're in a situation and they know how the social script is supposed to go in that situation. And so they are following those steps, even though it is not natural to them and they're feeling that pressure of to be acting a certain way because they haven't found how do they interact in this social situation, be respectful of what the expectation is for that social group, but still be themselves. That takes a lot of work and a lot of time, and honestly, the right people too. So your loved ones understand this. They call masking. And in many ways, that's what we're doing as well too when we're acting like everything is fine. When you go to church a Sunday or you're out in the store with your kids and you're around people who kind of know you but don't really know you. And you begin like, oh yeah, like things are just like we're a normal family. And yet 45 minutes ago, one of your kids completely lost it over the fact you couldn't find their special toy. And there was gnashing of teeth and tears and the world was going to end because you couldn't find that one toy because that was their regulating toy. But 45 minutes later, you pretend that everything is fine, right? So the distance, the greater distance we have between who we actually are and what we project, the bigger space we have between those two images, the more lonely we are going to feel. Again, there are times when I'm out in public where I'll give an answer and I will be very generic and it'll be like, yeah, things have been difficult and I will keep it to that level of detail. I won't go into the specifics. I'm still being honest as much as I possibly can in that relationship. I'm not sugarcoating it. Now, with someone else, I would maybe share the details of like, yes, this is what's going on. I'm being very real. But the more you can find ways to be authentic and honest, the easier you will feel inside. Because when we look at self-care, that's caring for our mind, our emotions, our body, our health, our need for friendships and for community and for our hobbies, the more we are living and projecting a false image, we are going to be choosing actions for our self-care that will not match up and will not meet a need because we feel like we need to project this image, right? I first would encourage you is to figure out what's going to be your communication plan with people when you are out in public or when you're posting a response online or sharing something about your life. Figure out what's going to be your different levels. There's the first level, like I mentioned before, where I'm giving very limited information, but saying, yeah, like it's been a difficult time. We're working things out. I'm not pretending everything is fine, but I'm also not like, oh, like with all the details. And if someone says, oh, what's going on? I'll say, well, you know what? Life happens sometimes and you find some generic answer. But again, I'm being honest that life is not easy and hunky-dory, that there's difficulties going on. If the person has not earned the right to know further details, or if the person is not have the capacity to understand or the ability to be willing to hear about someone else's experience that's different from theirs, then I limit. The next level is sharing a little bit more detail. Like, yeah, it's really difficult trying to figure out meals for the kids because of their sensory challenges and finding the right clothes, or the dynamic between my husband's needing quiet and my kids, they have their sensory diet and they need to be doing calming actions, but those actions make noise. I'm feeling caught in the middle. There's a little bit more detail with people that you feel who could understand. And we see this more, especially in the different mom groups that popping up. Almost every single time I go to a mom's group, and now my kids are older, I still find there's always women there who have kids who are in that they have these needs, they have these challenges, and they might not even know that there's a word for it yet. All they know is that if they don't have everything lined up correctly, there is this meltdown, but yet their child is so sweet and loving. They're trying to grasp this dichotomy, these two different variations. So you will find in these different mom groups, these moms who will be understanding of the challenges. Now, regarding the spouse, that might be a little bit trickier, but sometimes it is there. I'll ask a question like, oh, does your husband also have similar experiences or challenges? Like, that's one great way to bridge a gap. And then oftentimes I hear women say, now that you mention it, yes, he does. Or they'll say, yeah, he does have those same challenges. It gives you some insight, like this is someone who I can talk with and share a little bit more detail. Then you have the third group, which is people that they understand it. Like there's maybe they have a spouse who has autism, ADHD, OCD, they have that. Or maybe it's in a different category. Maybe they deal with an addiction, but their spouse is dealing with something that's difficult. And they also have challenges within their kids. Those are people that you can really share the details. Again, once you know they're trusted, but you're able to be authentic. So you can see if you have people in this third group where you're able to share like really just truly how things are about, yes, someone had this reaction and I can't believe they took these steps and they responded this way. You're sharing about your heart and like, man, I was out. Like I was curled up on the couch and I just had to like say I'm done, and I had to take a break for an hour because that was just way too much for me. There's a very intimate and deeper communication that's happening at that level. So when you begin finding these three levels, and you be like, the first level is like where you're telling the truth at a very, very basic level. The second one, a little bit more details, but you're still keeping some of the personal details private. And then the third is like you truly are sharing. When you begin living in that way, you're feeling more authentic and more real. And you begin making choices for your self-care. Say, you know what? Everyone expects me to be at that event, but I just don't have it in me. I'm going to say no. Thank you so much for the invite. Maybe you're going to send a card or email afterwards or a text message. And then you are going to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, because you know that you are going to push yourself into the red zone if you do one more activity with the family at a party or an event which has no script. That's just too hard. That's what you begin doing. Now, I will add another caveat, because there is oftentimes family dynamics, which is very tricky. Some families, they don't even want to acknowledge that there is any type of neurodiversity. We don't even say the word. We don't even acknowledge it. They're just different. And they will not accept any communication about the struggles that goes for the person who's neurodiverse or for their family, their loved ones. They won't want anything about that because they want to have more of a rose-colored, everything is just, it's all going to work out, it's all going to be good. They don't want anything getting the hands dirty of real life. In those moments, then you need to choose your battle. Are you going to go to that phase one where you say, yep, life is difficult, things are going on, and that might set them off right there, right? They might get super upset, like, what, you're admitting that life isn't perfect? Like, no, that's not how we live life. If they're that way, you may choose your battles and just decide you don't even get to the first level of communication with me. I'm keeping you outside, and I am keeping it to the weather and very limited things. You may have to go to that point if they are in that Pollyanna, rose-colored toxic level. And not like, look, you still have to look for the good. That's something very, very important for self-care. You still need to see that shimmering light of God providing you that moment of being outside and hearing this beautiful bird, seeing wildflowers, a moment where your child comes up to you and just smiles this biggest smile and they give you a great big hug and say, "Thank you, Mom." Or your husband walking in and he remembered that you like a certain type of food and he bought it at the grocery store and he brought it home for you and he's smiling like he just won the war. All those moments, like, definitely enjoy that. You and I can enjoy those moments and treasure them and still be honest about the hardship, about seeing that our loved ones, seeing them mask in situations and that it causes us pain and discomfort, seeing them go through that. But yes, there are people who we can't even, we have to keep it to the weather. And I don't know what else we talk about after that point. And there might be other people who will actually deny your experience. Again, keep them far out. If there are people who are going to say, "Oh no, that's not that hard," they're going to deny everything that you're going through. Keep the distance, keep the space. Your self-care, your mental sanity is too important to deal with people who are trying to rewrite your narrative and tell you it's better, like, "Oh, it's not that hard." Or, "You know what, I raised my kids and they were the same way and look how they turned out fine, so I don't know what you're complaining about." Those are people we do not need to have anywhere near in any of the 3 levels of those circles. That we keep them space between us and them. So I hope this encourages you to be authentic a little bit more, because I found personally when I began living what my reality was, when I began to stop hiding the difficulty in my marriage I couldn't understand. It was so difficult to try to navigate it. And when I began opening up with people, again, the level 1, 2, and 3, depending upon where they were at, I felt like I wasn't hiding and pretending everything was all hunky-dory. I wasn't living this Pinterest image anymore. And then as I found the people in level 2 that I could just be a little bit more honest with, eventually the level 3 where I could truly reveal the personal details, I began finding a synchronization happening to what I was presenting in the outside and who I was in the inside. And I no longer felt this disconnection between who I am and this image that I am presenting. If this gave you some ideas, if this resonated with you, I would really love to hear from you and how it connected. Because I have gotten messages from you guys and I appreciate it, how you have shared, like, yes, that is my experience. I am like caught in the middle of my own needs, my spouse and my kids, and the masking, and how do I be authentic, but I don't want to shame them. Yes, 100%. We do not want to vilify our neurodiverse loved ones' experience, their difficulty. At the same time, we do not excuse behavior that is hurtful or abusive. And this is where the nuance comes in, because there's so many different levels: sensory overwhelmed, frustration, emotional intelligence, and finding people that you're able to communicate with. And the more you're honest in each areas of your life, you will feel this releasing of your soul that will happen. This like, "Oh, I'm not acting when I'm out in public. I'm more of myself." So I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for joining along in this conversation, being authentic. And I'm going to pray for you real quickly. If you're not a person of faith, I encourage you that you can do this. This is possible with very small steps moving forward. And for those of you who are of a faith background, Jesus, I pray over these beautiful women. They may even disagree with me when I say that word beautiful, but Lord, help them to see how they are. Help them to see themselves as you see them, uniquely created, and that these hardships and trials that they are going through along with their loved ones, help them to find the way to be authentic, to share truthfully with people who have earned the right to hear, for them to have the experience of being less of this false sense they're presenting and being more themselves in different areas of their life as time goes along, so they can feel free in being themselves. Amen. Hey, thank you for joining me today. I pray this episode gave you encouragement to take one small step. If so, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help other women find this show. By the way, if you're loving this conversation and want more encouragement like this, join my email list at bit.ly bit.ly/myselfcare. That is bit.ly/myselfcare. I have a planner launching soon that will help you put all this into action in your own life. I look forward to chatting with you again next week for another episode.